Everyone, I'd like you to welcome the famous Bob Kelly, the Chicago's answer to Mr. Build It. So, Bob Kelly, who are you? Where did you come from? Again, like I asked Mike Willie, give us a background. Give us a couple of minutes on who Bob Kelly is.
Okay. Well, I was shaped by being number 10 of 11 children pretty intensely. And as a young lad, I would be hanging out in my parents' garage, stripping down all the bicycles and making skateboards out of wooden blocks and whatever wheels I could bang together, right? So
How many brothers? How many sisters?
One
How
brother,
many brothers?
One brother, 9 sisters.
Oh. Jesus, the ratio to men and women there, Bob. I'm not sure I'd like that. In my head, but
I'll see you later. Nobody comes in the garage.
Oh no.
So I got involved by default into the trades at a very young age. I used to test everything to failure. I was good at that. And then making things to just play with. It's interesting. Now, like the advice I gave to one of my daughters once, she says, "Dad, what do I do when I get older?" I said, well, "Why don't you just continue to play?" I love this craft so much. I've strived to be a master carpenter. I've been in hundreds of odd situations. My thing is always, I was trained to do everything from scratch. So you go into an old or new house and you fabricate whatever parts and pieces. You just try to recognize what the building needs to make it better, because it's nice being the second person in on repair work, because now you know what to do. So
is everything that you'll or have been doing, is it predominantly retrofit market? So you go into houses and you look at what is the field that Bob Kelly does?
That's exactly what it is. I've never done new construction. I've rebuilt buildings my whole career, 35 years. So I've been able to get a grasp on different styles, different methods, what materials do and do not work. And sometimes I've had to improvise with making custom pieces just to make like structural repairs, the way they should be.
Like what? Sorry, jumping in there. Just like, so you've gone in there, you've had to do a custom on this building. What have you made? What's it for? Because of why?
Imagine like where 2 big LVLs or wooden beams come together, and one's continuous and one is all the way through. Let's say there was rot very close to that intersection point, right? And so what we did was we were able to, custom fabricate a large, like U-shaped metal bracket with pieces coming off of it to pick up the intersecting points to do a repair on a project. Or, if you're dealing with window details, the flashing details and understanding the custom sheet metal that's needed to do, whatever you can. All that sheet metal is another example of how I love everything being custom. What's the best way of saying this? You can't order a piece of sheet metal from Home Depot to fit your need. Everything is per order, per job. And that's just the way it is. So, at 59 years old, I can honestly say that I've been an artist in this trade for 35 years, and I love it. So, now you and I meeting over PassivHaus, and PassivHaus is the culmination of what good workmanship is supposed to look like in this day and age. So you see what I'm doing. I'm trying to make building envelopes healthy. I see what you're doing, and you're being creative and inventing, producing new products that are going to make our insulated world much better, have a better seal. It's critical. Like getting away from house wraps. Oh my God. The tragedy. I mean, I've been working on a $1.6 million repair of a 8-year-old house because they put regular house wrap on it and trapped all the moisture.
I remember when I come and saw you about 2 years ago, and you took me around some construction sites, and we pulled up and we walked up to the house. It had a house wrap on, but then you had the siding, the cladding, bang, straight up against it. There was no ventilation, there was no nothing. And then when we spoke to someone, they said, we'll come back in 7 years and we'll come back and fix it. We'll generate some more work. It's a madness. Absolutely mad.
And I quote a famous man saying, I wouldn't put my dog in this house.
Yeah, going on to that. So if I'm Mr. or Mrs. Jones and I'm sat in my house and I'm in Chicago, I've got a lot of problems. I've got a lot of damp problems, wet issues in the building's not breathing right. Where do you come in? Do you come in from now? Do you go in and say, right, we need to do X, Y, and Z, and this is how we do it? And where do you come in? So anyone watching, they think, I am in Chicago. I have a lot of problems. Where does Bob Kelly and the team come in?
Okay, just getting the public to know who I am is as you know, is a slow process. But luckily I've been around. I've had my business for 33 years now, so a lot of different people of different subject matters of repair know who I am. But now with the specialty of building envelope corrections that I'm working on, now I have to cater to a new set of referrals, which would be like this venue or structural engineers or architects. But it's interesting. Most of our work is coming through our SEO of our website because homeowners they're doing their research and they've talked to a dozen people, and everybody says a different story. The subject matter I'm discussing is the interaction between a flat roof and a brick wall, and condensation is always forming because this is cold in the morning and this roof membrane heats up and changes temperature faster than this. It creates condensation from moist air coming out of the building.
That's not been ventilated. That's not been ventilated.
It's not been ventilated, but nobody did it. Every
So
building.
How are you correcting that though? How are you going up to? What are you adding? What are you doing?
Well, I mean, I could probably pull up a picture a lot quicker than explaining it clearly. Let me see if this works here. Okay, so
yeah,
the vertical blue line where the triangle is at the bottom, that represents the shape of where the roof membrane comes up against the inside of the parapet wall. These are parapet walls, which is a masonry wall that extends 2 to 3, maybe 4 feet higher than the roof line, because that's part of the Chicago Building Code, so that we contain fires in a very dense living area. And so what happens is that there's a gap between the masonry and the roof membrane, and we use foundation drainage board, and then straight across here, instead of having a mortar joint, we substitute the mortar joint with corrugated plastics. So we find that when the wind blows through our flashing, it creates negative pressure in the building down below and sucks the water out of the building. Now,
because heat rises, damp rises, goes up.
And that actually has a certain amount of pressure behind it. I don't know what that measurement is, but that's what I'm going to go do at NTA, where we went, and we're going to figure out what that pressure is.
Nice.
So now we've done over 130 buildings in Chicago with similar venting mechanisms, but that's the biggest problem in construction, and that's what I focus on. Now, the wooden trusses that are embedded in the masonry right along the bottom here are often unprotected.
So they're moldy, they're rotten by now by the time you get in there, or not, or can you save any of them?
Sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. But when they are, then I like to we've made metal brackets that'll sandwich both sides of the truss, and we connect it back into the structure. But in order to do that kind of repair, then we have to do one of these.
Now I've seen this. I saw that on Instagram. So for anyone watching, this is a big, it's like a scaffold tower that you put over the building so you can keep it dry.
Exactly. So it's a windproof tent, Now we've been in 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so I'm not sure what that is in kilometers per hour. But a car drives at 55 on the roads here.
It would take me off the roof. If I went up there, I'd be woo.
Yeah, you'd be off the roof.
Yeah, I'd be off the roof.
So what's interesting is now, as a craftsman who's been dealing with different jobs and different repairs over the years, now all the intersections of the different things that are needed at this level actually require almost like a lifetime of experience to, I think, get my head wrapped around it. It's heavy structure, it's metal fabrication, it's ventilation, dealing with the wind pressure and water intrusion, creating a cycle of health with the moisture rising through the structure. Also trying to understand how this effect has on buildings of different types of insulation, because buildings, I'm learning, need to dry three-dimensionally. And that's what concerns me about sealing up buildings, is that there's a water source in the ground that a lot of architects aren't considering when they create a passive house and seal up everything, you can end up with a column of water that needs to be vented at the top. So I know now we're getting into the weeds, but who am I? Well, I'm the subject of, the youngest and one of the youngest of a big family who had nothing better to do than tear stuff apart. And now here I am at 59.
And now you run around Chicago fixing things, meddling in things, and just being a building science geek, which is what we love about you.
Oh, I love you too. Yeah, that's great.
So you're not just that though. You do loads of fabrication on different flashing sets as well, don't you? You do bespoke flashing. Is that?
Yeah, I guess you call it bespoke. Yeah, I've done. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen your yard and stuff, and I know you make bespoke flashing for different job sites and things like that. So what's that for? Is it for just windows, or is it? That's something I'm personally not too sure what it is.
Well, okay. So aside from what I said about how flashings are always custom made for each individual job, for example, a window casing might be a little bit deeper than another one, so the flashing has to be bent to come out to accommodate that. And it doesn't look special when it's on, it's just deeper, right?
Okay.
But what I like about this rooftop work is that it's an industry standard that everything of these were built to. They needed ventilation, but the industry never specified anything other than how do you attach my product. So they didn't take into account all the different factors, how these all play well or not together. So what I've been able to do with my flashings that you saw in the shop was that we have there's 13 different types of parapet walls, okay? But to accommodate their venting needs, there's about 4 different profiles, which is really great. It's super versatile. No, I take that back. Maybe about 8 different profiles, but in different combinations. So now we mass produce those in our shop and keep a couple thousand feet of each profile on hand. So when we get these jobs, or sometimes people find us on the internet and order our materials, and then I can pull it off the shelf and send it to somebody or give it to a job right away. So it's really nice that the bespoke, the sheet metal fabrication part is now I've got something that's repetitive that nobody else does.
That's the WickRight side of what that's a WickRight. So you do the bespoke, or that's bespoke for the UK market, custom for the American market, and then you do your remodeling or your retrofit, your remodeling of these buildings to bring them up to standards. Is there any new products on the market that you see coming through regards to ventilation? Because ventilation is something that kills me. That before I can sell any of my products, I have to say you've got to ventilate your building. You need to work out how you're going to do your ventilation. Is it decentralized ventilation? Is it centralized ventilation? And then we can start looking at everything else. So when you've done your ventilation on your facade brickwork, do you go to the inside and do ventilation there, or is that where you hand over to someone else?
Ventilation on the interior, okay? Because now you're in air quality control.
Mm-hmm.
right? And so your ventilation is mechanical that we all consider ductwork and
Yep.
ERVs and HRVs. And my ventilation is buildings exhausting water vapor to dry out. So people often confuse that term. They think that I've got some blower sitting in there somewhere. So I guess my ventilation, the reason why I try to understand how vapor open, the type of insulation that's in a building tells me how much vapor open it is. And since water vapor is always traveling up, then if I know that the ventilation is going to be facilitated by foam insulation, which is not, fiberglass insulation, which has the most ability to have air travel through it, or am I using, cellulose? Am I going through cellulose? I just saw a job last week where the guy has cellulose in between the drywall and the masonry. It's not much. It's only that much. The walls are that thick.
Whoa, that's a lot to some people out there, and that's a very healthy size. Let's just make sure everyone's aware of that.
He's almost better off not having insulation. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's my ventilation. So do I install it? Yes, I install it. I have 8 guys that work in the field for me, and usually 2 crews. And so I like to design it and run the jobs and order the sheet metal. And I consult with my guys about how to put everything back together. So, we get the option of having the experience of analyzing a project and then going in and implementing the project and then supplying the materials for the project. It's really a very interesting process to be involved, like yourself. I mean, that's where we're like brothers from another mother.
Yeah.
I bring up the word PassivHaus almost on a daily basis. I'll say something like, well, because I'll never build a PassivHaus in my, the patch that I'm working on. I've always made older or contemporary structures better. But I just can't go in and tear out all the drywall and the insulation. I mean, it's just never going to happen.
It's PassivHaus standard, though. Everyone needs to understand we're all striving for PassivHaus standard. And that's where a lot of people get confused with my products as well. They see, because PassivHaus bar and everything, it's only for PassivHaus. It's for every form of construction. It's for every type of build. We just use that as the top. That's our goal. But we're trying to bring everything to that level.
The pinnacle.
You're a great guy in the industry. If anyone wants to get hold of you, they can go to your website. What is your website, Bob?
The website is WickRight.com and WickRightGeneralContracting.com. So it's I'm sorry?
We'll put a link in the bio for everyone to hunt you down and see who you are.
Love to. But listen, I want to share this with you because the project that I'm working on right now, now that we're getting down to the tail end of these repairs, and I've used self-adhered house wrap and seen the effects of the buildings I'm realizing now, and I'm not saying this to be nice to you, but what I'm saying is that every new construction that has any airtight requirement has to be sprayed with PassivHaus. Nice purple.
Passive purple.
Passive purple. Oh, passive purple. I mean, it's an imperative because I'm learning more and more about the effects of positive and negative pressure within the building envelope, and it's pushing moisture to the walls. So it's alarming. So the reason why I keep on saying this and talking about these other rotten masonry buildings is that we're developing thousands and thousands of defunct buildings and shortening our housing lifespan, and in the long run, that it's going to debilitate our economy, and it crushes people's savings accounts. So.
But it's return on it. When we look at that, though, it's not just crushing their bank accounts; it's their health. A lot of this stuff that we do is return on health, because if you're living in a healthy house, you are in fact going to live healthier. If it's all moldy and all the spores are flying around and there's no air movement,
right,
you're an unhappy person. So,
and that's why what you're doing is so critical.
Well, thank you for that plug at the end. Should have been about you, but I'll take it. Well, Bob, thank you for giving us a short insight. We will have you back on, and we will actually get all your products out. I know you've sent me some over, so we will look at them and go into more detail about them. The Bob Kelly of Chicago, fixing everyone's houses one house at a time. Love it.
One house at a time, baby. Okay.